podcast is brought to you as a joint initiative between Anubhav, the National Institute of Social Defense, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and Media for Community Foundation. Producers, CovaiCare Retirement Communities. If you are a senior citizen and need help, contact our Elder Helpline 14567 between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. We promise to help you lead a better life. I repeat, 14567 between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Hello, listeners. This is Malati Jaikumar with part 2 of the story called Sister of Mercy. Do not be shocked at the ending because it could happen in real life too. Kaushi shed her uniform very reluctantly at the end of the day, for with the uniform she shed her personality. She was again the dowdy old woman dragging her feet back to her one room on the third floor, back to hours of loneliness. She had no friends, only grateful patients who promised to stay in touch but who conveniently forgot her the moment they went home. If she did come across them by chance anyway, they looked past her, probably not recognizing her out of her uniform. As the years went by, even the babies became routine. The job itself became a routine, for she had gone as far as she could go. New junior nurses, some pert and pretty, came to train under her strict supervision and passed on to various departments. Most of them learnt the ropes early, and what she had taken months to master, they covered in a few weeks. The new generation was bold and confident. In fact, too bold and too confident, she thought. They had an easy way with the patients and the doctors, and Kaushi was shocked to see some openly flirting with the doctors. What was worse, some doctors seemed to like it and encouraged them, while some of the older doctors looked on indulgently. The older men were pushovers in the hands of the younger generation. Disgusting, thought Kaushi. There was no fool like an old fool. She had one more year to retire. The very thought sent shivers down her spine. Some nights she could not sleep thinking of being out of work. What would she do then? How could she fill the empty hours? Mumbai was a city for people who scurried around, for the energetic, a city for people who were talented go getters, not for the idle or the unemployed who just got buried like sludge in the sewer. Well, she must deal with her life one day at a time. Today, her thought often focused on the baby in the incubator. It was just a small, weak baby born before time. While the mother and father were very fair and handsome, the baby was dark, probably taken after a grandparent or an uncle. The premature baby also had a touch of jaundice. Parents depended on Kaushi for her gentle handling and wisdom. Her constant reassuring chatter calmed the mother, and watching them together made the father smile. As she strode into the hospital, no one greeted her, but as soon as she changed into her uniform, the peons and other nurses greeted her in passing. She made her way to the nursery. There was no one in the room, and the baby had been taken out of the incubator and put on into a cradle. Kaushi stood by the side of the cradle, looking down at the dark baby with thin limbs. She pictured her growing up, dark and skinny, and possibly taunted by other children. She would be a wallflower, and if at all someone took pity on her, she would be tongue tied and quite witless. She might do well at school, but she would be miserable as she grew up, perhaps even more miserable than Kaushi had been. The baby had an elder sister who was fair and beautiful. Comparisons can be odious, but the stark contrast would always turn the attention on the younger sister. What a perfectly horrible life. Kaushi's heart was moved. It was an unfair world, and first impressions, such as a good height, fair complexion, and attractive features, made a lot of difference. There was no room in the world for the dowdy dark people. She knew it all too well. This was a topic discussed on TV, in books, and in debates. It was talent and merit that was important, not looks, they said. But the hard reality was that it was never acknowledged that one had to be at least moderately attractive to, or pleasant to hold down a job, to get ahead in life, or find a partner. The baby opened her eyes. She looked like a little wrinkled monkey, thought Kausi. If she had been plump, she might have been prettier. Kaushik could foresee the traumatic hours of loneliness and humiliation stretching ahead for the baby. She alone knew the agony of those hours and days. A huge wave of pity swept over her. She looked around, picked up the baby, and held her tightly against her ample breast. One heavy hand closed the little mouth and nose. A muffled, weak cry was followed by a few seconds of struggling. Then the movement became weaker and weaker and then stopped altogether. Kaushi laid the baby very gently back in the cradle. She was happy she had given freedom to one soul. There would be more, for she had found her role in life. She would be a liberator of unwanted and suffering souls. Today had been different. After all, she had felt it in her bones. Were you indeed shocked at Kaushi's act? Actually, such things do happen in life, especially when the mind is highly stressed. And if you're a sick person, sick mentally, I'm sure you will think about the story for quite some time. Write to us on kovaivani@kovaicare.in. Thank you for listening.
இந்த வலையொலி அனுபவ் தேசிய சமூக பாதுகாப்பு நிறுவனம், சமூக நீதி மற்றும் அதிகாரமளித்தல் அமைச்சகம் மற்றும் மீடியா ஃபார் கம்யூனிட்டி ஃபவுண்டேஷன் இவர்களின் கூட்டு முயற்சியாக உங்களிடம் கொண்டு வரப்பட்டது. திட்ட ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளர்கள் டாக்டர் ஆர் ஸ்ரீதர் மற்றும் ஆலோக் வர்மா அவர்கள். வானொலி ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளர்கள் பூஜா முராடா, கௌசல்யா மற்றும் சாய் சுதா அவர்கள். தயாரிப்பாளர்கள் கோவை வாணி, கோவை கேர் ரிட்டையர்மெண்ட் கம்யூனிட்டிஸ். நீங்கள் ஒரு மூத்த குடிமகனாக இருந்து உதவி தேவைப்பட்டால் எங்கள் எல்டர்லைன் ஹெல்ப் லைனை தொலைபேசி எண் 145667 இல் தொடர்பு கொள்ளவும். காலை 8 மணி முதல் இரவு 8 மணி வரை. ஒரு சிறந்த வாழ்க்கையை வாழ உங்களுக்கு உதவி செய்ய நாங்கள் உறுதி அளிக்கிறோம். மறுபடியும் கேளுங்கள். தொலைபேசி எண் 145667 காலை 8 மணி முதல் இரவு 8 மணி வரை.
That's all for today, folks. Be safe. Fight COVID with 2 vaccinations. Wear a mask when you go out. Keep safe distance. Observe proper hygiene. We must win. We will win. Thank you.